and welcome to this special edition of Steph's Pack Lunch. We are here to celebrate the brilliant finalists of the Willmott Dixon Trainee of the Year 2020 and 2021. Now, as you know, the trainee scheme is all about growing the company's own talent so that they can be future leaders in the organisations. And I have to tell you, these guys are some of the best in the business. So I thought you might want to know a bit more about them. So Cheska, let me start with you. Tell us a bit about what you've been doing and what you've enjoyed the most.
My main discipline is environmental and sustainability, and I was on a 2-year scheme. So mainly I spent most of the time doing environmental and sustainability stuff. So that's out on site, auditing the sites, making sure they're staying up to regulations and laws, and also pushing on new sustainability strategy about net zero waste reduction. But while you're doing the scheme, so for the 2 years, I also went on placements with other departments and with some of our supply chain partners as well. So for like 2 years, I've done a bit of estimating, I was out on site, done a bit of tendering, worked with some of our ground workers, and you just kind of go around the full business and see what they do and learn from them. And
you are really passionate about sustainability, aren't you? So how important was it for you when you were joining the company for it to be one that's aiming for that?
Well, yeah, so I originally started the company in the group sustainability team down at head office, and I chose it because they had one of the most ambitious like carbon reduction and waste reduction strategies out of all of the different construction companies. So it was like one of the top things for me. And like we get asked every year on our yearly surveys as well how important it is to you, and it's always like my #1 thing. So I wouldn't be here if I didn't agree with the visions and the strategy and the way this company was going with sustainability. So
yeah, I know it's also important to you to have a punchy hair colour.
Yeah.
How often do you change your hair colour, Cheska?
My hair changes every month.
Does it?
Yeah, every month, yeah. It'll be a
every month?
Colour.
Have you not got to a point now where you've done every colour?
I go back around the same colours. So,
do you?
Yeah.
So do we know what next month's is yet?
Probably be purple, because if you have to go darker each time and then bleach it and start light again.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
That is very good to know. Lauren, let me come to you, because you've just come back from maternity leave, haven't you? So how are you feeling being back in work?
It's great. You lose yourself a little bit when you're off on maternity leave. I've been off for a year now, so I was a bit nervous, especially being off with COVID and having a new baby. I've not seen anybody or been anywhere really. So it's been nice to be around people and talking to people again, and yeah, so it's been good to get back into it.
And I guess the work, where you work, there's a good culture and atmosphere, so you all get on and have a laugh, and that must be important to you.
Yeah, definitely. And before I went off on maternity leave, obviously I was pregnant and I'm site based, and the site that I was on at the time, it had only just started on site, and it was quite boggy. It was holding a lot of water, so there's a couple of times they said to me, "You can't go out on site today." So they really looked after me as well, which was good, because obviously I've never been through that before, and it was a bit nervous for me being on a construction site, being pregnant as well. Yeah,
and you actually started, didn't you, as an administrator?
I did, in the office.
And then became assistant building manager. What was it like making that career change?
To be honest, it was the people, the employees in Willmott Dixon, my colleagues, that helped me realise I wanted to do something else, a bit more challenging, really. But it's been a really. I think I needed to get into something else, and it's been good for me to do.
Yeah. What have you found more tiring, going to work or looking after your little one?
Looking after the little one.
Yeah, totally. I am with you on that. Honestly, I go to work for a break now. Yeah. It's it's much more relaxing. Gabriella, let me come to you. You've got a long relationship, actually, with the company, haven't you? Because your mum works at Willmott Dixon as well.
She does.
So was it kind of inevitable that you were going to join the company?
Well, I did a advert for Willmott Dixon when I was 8 years old. So they started me. They started me young. Yeah. So I've been lots of ties to the company since I was young.
Yeah. What did you have to do in the video?
So my dad actually spent about a month building a Lego building, and it was a quality video. So I was trying to pronunciate things like minimum screed thickness and things like that as a 7 or 8 year old. So yeah.
And what's it like now, obviously working in the company, knowing you've got this big history?
It's quite nice. I guess when I first joined, I didn't have that kind of I don't know anybody, because I already had been into the office multiple times. I knew quite a few people, so it's really nice. Sometimes it doesn't work in my favour when those videos do pop up and people have a nice laugh about them and stuff like that, but yeah, it's really nice. It's a real family company, definitely for me.
Yeah, I bet you get people as well saying to you, "I remember when you were little."
Oh my God, all the time. Yeah.
Is it true as well you once got locked in a stationery cupboard?
Oh, yeah.
You're like, who told her that?
I did tell. Yes, I did.
happened?
I got locked in a stationery cupboard and I cried. Yeah, I was about 5.
Oh, but you got out. And
I got out.
thriving in your career.
Yeah,
so that's what matters.
Yeah, it wasn't, and yeah, it wasn't any time like. It was ages ago. I was 5 years old. It wasn't like last week. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it would be a bit awkward if it was
would be a bit awkward.
Sinyi, what about you? Tell me a bit about what you've been doing on the scheme and what you've enjoyed about it.
Sure. So what's great about the scheme is that you get to do so many placements. So you get to spend time within different disciplines, spend a couple of times on site, and then you also get to work in what's called pre-construction. So you get to work in offices, and then you see the project from an early doors point of view. So my discipline is in design management. So that's where I wasn't really too sure at the very beginning which discipline I wanted to go into. But then later on, once I spent a bit more time with Willmott Dixon, that's where I ended up at the end. So I really enjoy seeing the different sort of areas of the company you get to work in.
Yeah, and I think, Sinyi, you're a bit like me in that because I started my career in industry working for Black & Decker, doing a similar thing, like a kind of traineeship, apprenticeship thing. And it's great trying out lots of different bits of the business. But what's also lovely is trying to encourage more people into the sector as well. And I know you do a lot of that, don't you? You do mentoring and go back to your old school and talk to them about STEM. Tell us a bit about that.
That's it. So I'm really passionate about supporting the next generation to consider construction or just STEM careers in general as a more lucrative business. We don't have many women in our sector.
It's a good few of you here today.
Yeah.
Which is brilliant to see.
But that is improving over time, certainly, because at Willmott Dixon we have a goal to achieve gender parity, so 50-50. And that's something that I'm really passionate about. So I support my local school, which I used to go to when I was younger, mentoring students who are interested in STEM or just want to learn a little bit more about engineering or construction. So yeah, that's where it comes from.
And because I find when I go into schools, I don't know about whether you have this, kids are actually the scariest audience to talk to.
Oh, yeah.
Especially teenagers, because you just get nothing from them. What's the reaction you get when you go in? I bet you're brilliant at talking to them.
It's a mixed reaction. For a lot of them, they're very surprised that I am in this sector. There aren't that many people who look like me or have come from this sort of background in the sector. So they do end up asking lots of questions, but it is a mixed bag. You have some people who have really fixed mindset when it comes to construction. They just see it as all like muddy boots or dirty work sites. Yeah. But then you have those who are more interested in the technical elements of it. So that's where my strength really comes out to play. I just talk about more the technical aspects of it, talk about how a design grows from what's a concept into a final product that people live in, or maybe that's their future school.
Yeah, and am I right in thinking you grow a lot of veg? You've got your own allotments. Have you got any tips for us?
I would say plan in advance, just like with all of our projects. The more planning you do up front, it really does help in the long term. So yeah. And also be patient as well.
Yeah. Where do you find the time for all this? Like full-time job, going into schools, growing your veg, teaching, all kinds. It's brilliant. Chloe, your dad is also someone who works for Willmott Dixon. So tell us what you've enjoyed the most about joining the company.
For me, when I came in, I wasn't really sort of sure what sort of I didn't really know the industry itself. Obviously, my dad worked in the industry. So, like they say, I followed his footsteps, but in my own sort of way. So for me, it was quite, I did sports science, so that was my background, so coming in, it was quite different. But I like money, so I went into the surveyor route.
I love your honesty about that. People aren't honest enough about it. When I was starting out in my career, I was like, right, where are the jobs with the big money? Yeah, sorry, carry on, Chloe.
So my role is a surveyor, assistant surveyor now. So my placement was based around 4 years doing surveying, and then like the other guys, we did different placements in different departments, which has really benefited me as a surveyor now when I'm procuring packages, dealing with different site teams and the supply chain. So yeah, it's been a really good experience, and for everyone else, for all the trainees as well, just to get that experience is really, really valuable.
Has there been anything that surprised you about the job where you thought it was one way and actually it's different?
I guess, I think when I go onto site, I feel like we go in and we know that the construction industry is very male dominated, but with Willmott Dixon, it's a completely different culture. And I think trying to get that across to other people is really hard because they, like you said, they've got this concept and it's stereotypical, but trying to break that, I think, in schools is so important.
And I know, obviously, because I've been doing my homework on all of you, I know you like your golf.
Yeah.
And also your drinking, I'm told.
Yeah, I've got a bit of reputation.
Yeah. Is golf something you've just picked up recently then?
So probably in the past, like 6 months, I've probably started playing more. I don't have a handicap yet, but that's the plan for next year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really, really enjoying it. And I could have good potential, apparently. So
amazing.
Yeah.
Do you ever mix the golf with drinking?
Not yet. I feel like I need to concentrate on my golf and then concentrate on my drinking separately.
Yeah. Lauren, what would your advice be to people? Because obviously we mentioned about your career change and everything else. What would you say to people about joining the industry if they were considering it?
Don't have any preconceptions and just go in and give everything a go, because people don't know about the roles that are in the industry, and that's why all of us do go into schools and try and get the message out there that it's not just the tradesmen that are on site. There's a whole different loads of roles out there, and there is something for everyone. Yeah.
And Cheska, what would you say as well to people?
I'd probably echo that. Like, yeah, there's so many roles. Like, I think a lot of people don't think sustainability is a thing in construction, because obviously construction is one of the most polluting industries. So, like, when I go into schools and stuff as well and say, oh, I do sustainability, they're always a bit like, well, that's not construction, that's not doing brickwork and stuff.
Yeah.
So it'd be the same kind of thing, like, don't have, like, ideas of what it is before you actually turn up in it. And yeah, it's a great industry to be in. There's so much opportunity. So I think a lot of people don't realise that. It's just so much you can do and so much you can get into, and it's exciting as well.
Yeah, Chloe, what do you think we need to do to change the perception? Because, you know, I remember when I started out in engineering 100 years ago, and then they were talking about getting more women into the sector, and it's still an issue, isn't it? So, like, what do we need to see more of, do you think, Chloe?
To be fair, we do enough as a business, I believe. Social value, I'm sure all the trainees, we've all been in schools and you've done your STEM work, and that's something that's really, really made a difference. I think it needs to go out to the wider construction industry as much as we can do, as much as a business. It needs to get everybody involved, and if you don't have everyone involved, we won't be able to have that diverse workforce, which the construction industry needs, I think, because that's the way we're going to thrive as a business or as an industry.
As well, I want to ask you a bit about, obviously, you guys work really hard. Are there brilliant, like, group outings as well with all of this? Like, I mean, obviously, pandemic aside. Do you guys, Gabriella, have a lot of fun when you're not at work as well?
Yeah, you get to get involved in loads of different events. It's really good. And also, as a group of trainees, you get to do various different events and kind of spend a lot of time together, kind of team building. So, yeah, you get to get out.
Yeah. And Sinyi, what's it like having that group then, not just socially, but to support each other in your careers too?
Yeah, absolutely. Often when you're newer to the industry, you may have a lot more insecurity, both in your role, but also in your skills as well. And it's so great to have people around you who understand where you've come from and who can relate directly to you on a day-to-day basis. So it's been invaluable to have that sort of network around us.
Yeah, well, brilliant. Well, it's been lovely to talk to you all. And we're going to have a break now, but just before that, I want you to hear from Jess, because she couldn't be with us in the gang today, but we didn't want her to miss out, so let's hear what she had to say.
Thanks, Steph. Unfortunately, I can't be there with you today. As you can see, I'm in this amazing location. Look at that sun. Really wish that you guys could be here. Oh, OK. So it's with then. So I just wanted to tell you a little bit about myself and my background. I didn't have a traditional route into IT. I came in with a forensics degree. I actually worked for the police for 8 years, and I worked in video forensics. After 8 years there, I decided it was time for a career change. I knew somebody that worked for Willmott Dixon, and they referred me into the management trainee scheme within the IT department. You can work in the service desk, you can go and be a developer, or do what I did, which is end up specialising within the security team. So for me, security wasn't an obvious choice when I started the scheme. I didn't think I had enough experience, but as it turns out, my forensics experience actually lent itself really well to some of the areas within security. I had an auditing background, I knew my way around sort of compliance certifications, so I actually ended up fitting in really well into that team. So some of the certifications that I've helped with whilst in my time in security is Cyber Essentials Plus and also ISO 27001. These are really important for our bids and it's such a huge impact on the business. But as well as that, I also help out with keeping you safe, trying to keep your accounts safe, keeping your passwords safe, and also just trying to stop those pesky phishing emails that everyone gets. We work so hard in the background just to try and stop them getting through to you in the first place. As well as the placements, when I was on the scheme, we also supported a charity. We chose Dogs for Good, and as part of that, we actually raised enough to be able to sponsor a puppy called Dixie. Our main task was we took a group of the IT team to the Cotswolds and we walked the Cotswold Way. I actually count myself quite lucky that I was able to join the security team after going through the Cotswold Way, because I managed to leave my manager, Steve, behind part way through. I think it's all forgiven now because he has let me join, so I think it's just water under the bridge.
So next, we're going to be meeting the finalists of 2021. See you after the break.